Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to my channel, guys. And yes, this is gonna be oh boy, one long ass reaction, huh, guys? I don't know if I'll divide it into two parts. I don't know. We'll figure it out. You might see some breaks here and there. Like if it's abruptly edited, it's because I took a break because it's a 1.5 hour video. So this is the film companion directors Adda 2023. I absolutely love watching a director's roundtable. I don't know, I find it more like the actors roundtable is also fun to watch, but it's somehow when you get into the head of a director or a producer, how to understand the business of cinema when it comes to producer, when it comes to director, like I always said, the director is the captain of the ship when it comes to a film or any series or whatever. So it's really intriguing for me to understand what the vision is behind the film, like what the director is actually envisioning. So I think this is one, and there is another roundtable which is there at Galata Plus channel. So let me know if you want me to react to that as well. But here we are with the film companions directors. Adda, let's not delay this any further. Let's watch this video right away. I don't know if it's part one, if it's divided into part one or part two, but yeah. Let's go. Oh, before I start this, I have to inform you. So, from this entire directors panel, the films that I have not watched of these directors is three of us that I've not watched, but I've heard great things about it, starring Shefali Shah and Jaydeep Ahlawat. And I have not watched Jigar Thanda Double X because it did not get a theatrical release here. It's already out on Netflix, but I have not watched it yet because me and Nona, we are going to do a watch along, like a live watch along. So if there are spoilers, I'm sorry, I can't help it. Let's go.
The irony is that I wouldn't know the first thing about love, and I've only made a career out of it. So, stranger things
But
have
he made a
happened,
great
but this
career.
is the strangest part of my career.
And I realized I can only
Let's
finish
go.
10% of the
Virutalai.
film in 20 days.
This is totally making to my
70% of the
list.
budget spent already. I didn't know what I was shooting. I still don't know what I'm doing in the film. I'm
Great
always
panel. So excited.
I
Nelson,
liked the
Kartik
idea
Subaraj.
of changing that
Geo
particular
baby.
casting around. That gave me a
She's the
certain
only woman in the
excitement.
panel.
And I wish that people would cast more imaginatively.
This journey as a filmmaker, it's very
I've not watched
solitary
his
kind of
film.
a process. I didn't know how to write, didn't know any writers, I turned filmmaker by accident.
The thing that I've learned is that there are days when you go home and you feel really horrible about being a filmmaker. And there are days when you go home, you feel like you've trapped magic
Side
for
B,
eternity.
oh no, there would be
Even
spoilers
if
for
it
Side
fails,
B.
let it
I haven't
be
watched that.
my gut. It's not working, also let me take the blame. I don't want someone else to confuse me.
The main motive was not to tell this message, but to show that what if there was a camera there shooting everything.
Oh,
if
there would be
cinema could have
spoilers
been
here.
used in a better way
problem.
in this situation.
Right now, I got a tagline
Let's
that
go.
I'm a feminist kind of filmmaker, a political
Excited
filmmaker.
for this panel.
If there is no feminism in my film, people try to find out feminism.
Just the talent in that one frame.
Everyone, welcome to the Film Companion Directors Adda. First of all, I can't tell you how thrilled I am to be sitting here with such incredible artists. You all have given us such amazing films this year. These films have been transportive, terrifying, magical, just gorgeous. The films you've made have brought people back to theaters. And you, Kokana, have said and done in less than 30 minutes what many people could not say or do in 3 hours.
You've been very kind. I'm totally out of place here. Hi, everybody's a director proper. I'm actually only an actor.
That short film
Quietly.
deserves her triple praise.
But, huh? Thank you.
She's just awfully praised now.
Yeah.
That's
Let's
Kind
move
of
on.
a tiny
Let's
feel
move on. I'll
actually
try not to
showing
talk.
So I'm going to start with something that S.S. Rajamouli said on our last year's round. He said when a director begins, he or she gets excited by an idea, right? You fall in love, you want to tell everyone that idea, and you start this journey. But somewhere in that journey, you have a moment of utter doubt. Okay, and you're like, why did we begin? Why did we start this? What does any of this mean? And at that point, you have to remember what made you fall in love. You have to remember that excitement of that beginning and that first flush of passion. So I want all of you to tell me, on these films that you just made, when did this doubt happen? And how did you remember the excitement? Pankana, let me start with you.
Yeah, I think the doubt though happens all the time, every day. Even sitting here, I'm reminding myself now the film is made. I don't have to worry, anymore. And I think that whenever you start anything creative, it's really a sense of I want to share this feeling of what it is, to live. It's an experience of living. In some ways, like because I had only very few shooting days, it's a small, short film, so there's actually no room for any doubt or anything else, because you have to finish. Like one day, we were shooting 21 hours, I think, straight. So it's just like like you've done this major prep, all your doubts and all, whatever you have to hajam karna padega abhi. Now you just have to go ahead and make the film. Otherwise, doubts are there all the time, every day. It's just like hoping for the best.
Tarun, for you.
Actually, the idea was it was not a tragic circumstance, but it was a very unfortunate time that I had to come up with an idea. Because we were hit by the pandemic. I was prepping for a film called Tak, and I was going on the sets. Had prepped for 2.5 years, and I was going on the sets in April and March. We were hit by the pandemic, and then for various reasons, I realized logistically it was impossible for me to make Tak. And we were all just secluded in our homes, and I would go with my notepad and pen because I still don't type on a laptop.
You still write?
I still write. I mean, I cannot type on a laptop. I don't know what to do with it. Like, I feel like...
Longhand writing.
And very, unreadable as well. And I just sat there
But
for
I
about
like-
10 days, nothing was hitting me. And then
I mean, there's something really nice about just holding that pen and just writing your thoughts. If I have to, write my thoughts, I could never do it on like notes or anything. So I get where he's coming from. It feels more personal that way, to me at least.
one day I went back to a story of my father's family. It happened with my uncle. And I just went back to it. And then I began the journey of developing the story with a group of 3 writers, actually. I made like a writer's room with Shashank and Ishita and Sumit. And then the doubts happened again because of COVID, because every time we got 2 months off, you started seeing your rushes and like, is this going to work out? Like there was one point where I thought myself that this may not make any sense to anyone. It's too long. I'm directing up to 7 years. I was doubting myself. I was doubting the film. I was doubting the industry. I was doubting how our film's going to work. So when you talk about doubt, it was a big shout in my mind. And I'm sure the collective minds of the film fraternity, because at one point we were told like no one's coming back to the cinema halls. There's a digital takeover. So yeah, when you say doubt, there was a plenty till the day I think my film released. I was a sight not for sore eyes, but for like I was walking around like a dead man walking. I was that stressed. So yeah, the stress and doubt doesn't leave you.
Veggie.
This journey is full of doubts. It started with doubt for me because I wanted a story where Suri could fit in as the lead. Suri has been doing comedy roles for the past 10, 12 years.
That's
And
what
to make
a
him
lot
the
of
protagonist of a
that's what a lot when the trailer also kind of dropped, that's what I had also been told by so many of you guys, of the so many of the viewers, that they're so excited to see him in this really serious role, because they're so used to watch Suri like as a comic actor, as a comedy actor. So that was a great change, and he has come out with flying colors. So I don't have a reference point, but I'm sure a lot of people who has followed his career, they have a huge reference point. So for them also, this would have been a very, very pleasant shock or a pleasure to watch him in this role. I am eagerly waiting for part 2 though.
of a story which is also a serious one. There itself, I had the doubt, and then I started working on a novella, based on a novella, and then after 15 days, after investing myself into that world and started liking that, I got to know from the writer that he'd given the rights to someone else. Then but I really liked the world and the people in the world. So I sent him whatever I had written and said, can you make us like story out of whatever that I've written so that I can legitimize my my script and stay
Wow.
away from the person who's bought the rights of that original stories claiming
Okay.
that I stole from that. Then he said,
Right.
no, I had written something similar in 98 itself. So he gave me a 6-page short story. And that is where this journey started for me.
Hmm.
And I told my producer that I will finish this film in 35 days, the way I finished Misarnai. And we went to the locations. And then I realized I can only finish 10% of the film in 20 days.
Oh,
So we, and 70%
the
of the budget
challenges.
spent already. So
So these are like, so you don't get, that's why I love these, from a director's point of view, the discussions from a producer point of view, because they also talk about uh, the budget, the time crunch, and all of those things. So that's very interesting conversation as well, because we really don't get to know that unless and until they talk about it.
So I came down and we got down on the hill, and the location that we were in did not allow any vehicles to go there. So we had to
Okay.
carry all the like equipments there, and then we built tents for like 250 people. We built toilets there, and then we stayed
a
there. We
huge
built
spend.
like 20 toilets. No, not 20. Like I think 10 or 12 toilets for the villagers there, and then we were using it.
Okay.
And one fine day, we had one storm coming. All the tents were like gone, and then we had to come
Rebuild.
down.
Oh,
And once we were on the planes, I realized that I can't finish this film. Then I called my producer and
Damn.
said, "Sir, should we think of working on something else?" He said, "Sir, already we've spent most of the budget. Why not we try pursuing this itself?" Then I said, "Okay, going to the hills is a problem. I will try to figure out a location where I can shoot here. There's a sequence of the base camp and all of that. I thought I'll shoot that in like 10 days and we'll be done with most of the film. Then I go there and then once I see the location, I start liking it, and then I start shooting it. Like after 40 days also, I've not finished what I wanted to finish in 10 days.
damn.
So by that time, the budget was triple the numbers that what I said. So then I was shooting, and then Vijay Sethupathi came into the film, and then when Vijay Sethupathi came in, the producer was relieved that we can sell it for a better price. And because he came in, I started writing more. And by the end of 120 days of shoot, I called my producer and said, I think we'll have to find a way to break even. And then he said, "Sir, whatever you shoot, you shoot."
Oh,
I had another. Yeah,
That's the
I had
confidence
another
on the
40 to 50
actor.
days of shoot left.
that's the
Is
confidence
that
on
why
the
you
actor.
divided the film into two?
I had to do it. no other. And then
But let me just say, for Vidutalai, just that train sequence, the entire train accident sequence, it just deserves its own award. It was just the most devastating thing to watch, but from a technical standpoint, it was so fascinating when I was watching that. Yeah.
footage was also more.
Yeah.
I thought then we decided that we'll make it into a two-part thing. And then once we decided, then we'll make it a two-part thing.
Sorry, guys, I'm going to pause and share
A
my
simple
thoughts. I'm just
intention
letting you know.
sequence ended up being one main action sequence for the climax of the first part, and then went back to the first opening of the film, which was not working. Then we decided to execute one shot, like that 10-minute shot.
We have to talk about that.
We have to talk about that shot, yes.
And then we somehow managed and finished the first part. Then after the release of the first part, now I'm wondering what to do with the second part. I'm done. I'm done with the second part.
What
It's
is going
ready.
on?
I'm trying to send it to festivals, but for the theater, I think something is missing. So
Okay.
I told my producer I'll shoot for 10 days. He said okay. Now I'm short
So
for
much
18
back
days.
and forth.
I think I have another 35 days.
Who is this?
I feel it's worship this man.
Elnur Kumar, he lives in Chennai.
I'm taking the next flight to Chennai. This magnanimous man.
Yeah, I said I'll finish the film in 4.5 crores. For the first part alone, we spent around 65. I mean, he spent around 65.
So the budgeting, somebody who had no clue has done.
I didn't have any clue of what I'm going to shoot. I was just shooting.
Oh God.
So I didn't know what I was shooting. I still don't know what I'm doing with the film. I just
There's
You
doubt.
just made a great
With
film.
your track record, it's very difficult to believe you didn't know what. It's very difficult to believe.
sometimes it's very. I'm always confused. I'm not sure of what I want to do, and my team knows how to work around me. They'll say, okay, who all you want? Okay, these are the actors, and what are the props you think you might need? I think I will need these things, and
He has a great
I think
team
we
at
need
least.
to have this period's costume, like 70s costumes. Okay, now that's all. They'll not ask for the scene. They'll not ask for any details. So I called Vijay Sethupathi to act for 8 days in the film. He's already finished more than 70 days.
நீங்களே இவ்வளோ கேஸ் போட்டிருக்கீங்க
He just said, he just said, you are like, you are self-sabotaging yourself. I'm putting so many allegations against yourself. Confessions.
Like you're making no pitch to a producer.
No, this is like a statement. Like, if you like something in my film, please be prepared for this.
Yeah.
They're having inside jokes.
Gio, what about you?
I have a lot of doubts, but I clear with myself. I just think in the side of audience, and I just resolve that. And the same time, I already discussed with my partner Beena and my DOP, my editor, and then only I got an answer. If you delete this, if you add something or not. That's why I'm working. And same thing I'm doing handwriting till now. And
It's always the best.
same way I can only read that. and there is no proper screenplay for me.
Okay.
When I'm writing, just scene orders only. But proper screenplay means there is a screenplay, but proper dialogues is not there.
Okay.
I'm improvising. I'm waiting for the last minute for getting a dialogue, getting a polished one, a fine-tuned version. So every time I'm also a kind of audience. When we're seeing on watch on a theater, what I feel, what I felt, that is I'm thinking always. So that is my
you think
my kind
Doubt
of
clearing.
filmmaking.
This is incredible because in our heads, like everyone's fully in control of their craft. There's a storyboard.
That's what you feel that, oh, a director's vision this, but then when you hear the directors talking about the process, you really understand that they are also full of doubts. But then I'm just saying, look at the talent in this one room. It's unbelievable.
Everyone knows exactly what they're doing, and here you're saying
I think it depends. This is not a proper way. This is comfort. This is my comfort.
right, you work
Yeah.
best like this.
Yeah, that's all.
Avinash, do you follow this school?
Of course, it's completely in doubt, anxiety, everything, constantly. Like, I turned filmmaker by accident. I studied cinematography. Killa happened 10 years back. And I had to wait for 10 years for my second feature film. So it was...
I need to watch this. I don't
yeah,
think it's
I
out
didn't
on
know
OTT.
where to pitch, how to pitch. But when Patal Look happened, I sort of like gathered a little bit of courage, and then I stopped being a cinematographer. And this journey as a filmmaker, it's very solitary kind of a process. I didn't know how to write, didn't know any writers, So just to spend time with yourself during the pandemic, and that decision sort of like took like a lot inside. And and then when I got to know that Patal Look season 2 is not happening, it got pushed because of some problems. And I didn't know what to do. And
All right.
I was like, I didn't want
So
to
we're
go
not
back
gonna get season
being
2
a
soon.
cinematographer. Particularly for this time, because I waited for a long time, And then when you're pushed to the limits, I had only 4 months, and I went to meet my dearest friend Chaitanya Tamani, and we had a very long conversation, and for 8-9 hours we were talking, and I really felt very charged up. I went to my home. I started writing at
Okay.
12 o'clock in the night, and in the morning I had all the pointers. And in couple of weeks time, we made the screenplay. I called Varun Grover that, Varun, this is what I want to do. Would you be okay to write, like consider to write dialogues, and he heard it and
Okay,
he liked
Varun
it.
Grover wrote the dialogues.
Similarly, actors, I sent them the script and they got on board. And in 4 months' time, we had shot our film in 25 days. So yeah, that was the journey with three of us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Hema?
For me, this particular film has been riddled
Films.
has been riddled with doubt from a very long time, because I wrote this script, wrote this idea about 12, 13 years ago.
Oh.
And every time I pitched
Oh.
it, I was met with rejection because they were like, nobody's going to watch this.
Okay.
It doesn't have the right elements for it to work commercially. And so
Side
it
A is
was,
so
it was
beautiful,
always
though.
something that people were said is not going to work. So I had carried it with me all this while. So there's a lot of doubt within yourself. And
I've
the
heard
job-
that even side B is incredible. Though I've kept myself very, very much out of the reviews because I don't want literally any spoilers. Whenever it comes on OTT, then I will watch it. I'm really, really waiting for that.
job description, like he said, like everybody is sort of alluded to, it is anxiety. It is driven by anxiety, but the demand of the job is also to ensure that you don't distribute the anxiety to
Yeah.
everybody around you.
You keep it within.
You have to handle it and give the notion that you're in control. So
Yeah.
because actors don't do well if it comes across like you don't know what you're doing.
That's why director is the
Producer
captain.
won't be happy if you come across like you don't know.
Yeah.
So the best way I have figured out is to be vulnerable and to be as communicative and sort of open yourself up to your team, and that sort of allows other people also to be vulnerable with you, and to make something like that is a very beautiful process. And over a period of time you realize you don't get everything right, and it's okay. There are days where the more number of days you work in films, this is my fourth film. I mean, if I consider both films as two films separately, then it is 4 films. The thing that I've learned is that you'll have good days and you'll have bad days. And there are days when you go home and you feel really horrible about being a filmmaker. And there are days when you go home and it's just, you feel like you've trapped magic for eternity, So you
I
learn
like
how to deal with that
the way he has put
better
it.
with time.
Yeah.
And I think that doubt is a very powerful check for us as filmmakers. It's a very unhealthy space if you are very confident internally. In fact, if I shoot something very confidently, I start doubting myself even more because I'm like, wait, this can't be right. It
Wasn't so easy. Yeah.
wasn't. It's
Yeah.
like this happened too easily. There's something amiss.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. I really enjoy it, but the anxiety, you get used to it so much that when it goes away, you don't know what to do. It's actually, you're like, you feel suddenly empty, which is what is happening now.
You're empty.
Yeah, completely.
What about you, Nelson? When did you have doubt with Jailer?
I had doubts were there throughout the process and the writing process. But what made me come out of that is Rajini sir, not literally him. I would somehow wanted to do one Rajini sir's film. So when the block is happening, I used to convince myself, don't leave this project, you have to do this. Somehow you have to do.
But you had that level of doubt where you wanted to leave the project.
Not exactly. If it's not coming out in the paper, of course it's not going to happen. Either he will stop it or I will stop it. So that is the thing which made me wrote that entire script. And after that, while shooting also I had the same doubts. Because first time I think I made him play his age. So
Yeah.
that was the major doubt in me, because a lot of people told me, no, don't make him play his age.
Okay.
Let him do whatever he has done already. But I was little confident and not confident about it in the both thing. But somehow, okay, even if it fails, let it be with my gut. So whatever I feel, I'll make it. If it's not working, let me take the blame. I don't want someone else to confuse me. So finally, knowing his audience and what all he did in this 50 years, it was a very big challenge, and that itself is a big confusion for me.
Yeah.
Whether I can satisfy
Absolutely.
that much audience, or I can see my target for this film is I have to pull maximum number of audience into the theater. That is the target. So I worked around it. I know here and there I'm doing something over the top, but still that's what people expect from him is what I
Yeah.
feel. That's what I also enjoy. And recently, after this OTT era, what I feel is for big films, people come to theater to celebrate and enjoy, and just to feel the aura of the theater. And being Rajiniism is the bottom backbone
Yeah,
of that film.
it's always the big selling
What,
factor if he's
in my
starring.
opinion, I totally took it in that way, and I wrote it in that way, I executed in that way, and I think it worked. Finally, my doubts cleared.
But
only
it
after
definitely had Nelson's quirkiness also, which I like. Like, yeah, I understand where he's coming from, where he's saying that I know I'm casting this huge actor and I know the mindset of the audience when they're coming to watch his film. But there is definitely Nelson's touch in that, like you, because he's a very quirky kind of storyteller, and that's what I wanted. I went into Jailer thinking, okay, I'm gonna see an out and out Rajnikant film, which is great, but will it have Nelson's quirkiness or not? Which I got from the film. That's why I came out from the theaters at least very happy.
the release of the film. Till that, I had my own doubts.
After watching the film, I feel that he playing his age was the best thing for the film.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it worked the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
Without that, I don't think this film would work as much as it worked. It
But
has worked now.
before starting, so many people were telling me like, don't grace, don't dye him, sorry, dye him, don't show his grey hair, something like that. All that. But when people from the industry saying it so confidently, it me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It shakes you up.
Yeah, it shakes me.
Yeah.
But
Correct.
after a point, after 10 days of shoot, I was really confident, and I saw the scenes were working. The scenes were working. Okay, then I left it to the universe. Let it come, whatever, like that.
Karthik, when did you leave it to the universe? For Rajnikant Double X.
Actually, I had doubt. I mean, the idea for this Jigadana came right after the next year of Jigadana. Jigadana got released in
2014.
2014.
Yeah.
So 2015, the project was all set. I'm in total contrast with what Vetri sir said. No? There was a producer, there was a hero who wanted to do this, and I just had the idea for the first half. I mean, what the film is going, and
Okay.
then I also had one idea where the film takes. I mean, if you have seen the film, the
I've
first
not
half
seen.
happens
I will
in Madurai,
watch.
and then they travel to some place, and then the main idea of the film is to show what's the power of cinema as such. And I wanted to show that through a story that doesn't happen in Madurai. It's in a total different world. So the idea I had that time in 2015, I had doubt that this is not the right one, or this is not. So I said no. I mean, at that time I could have actually started the project because
Okay.
if the complete script is not ready in my I mean in writing, and this one I can't go and do anything in the spot.
So you need to have it absolutely clear in your mind.
Yeah, not even the paper also, like complete script with the short duration with the otherwise.
You two need to talk.
Yeah. I mean, he was saying I got
Total opposite.
He's a blessed person.
No, I always tell this. When someone comes and tells they would like to work with me as an AD, youngsters come out there, I tell them, if you can learn something from my films, please watch them and learn. Please don't come and learn the way I work. That's not the way you should be working. You need to write.
All the
this
producers
script.
are thankful.
Yeah. I always say that. See, this is an accident. I always have this analogy of cricket. Like when you have proper footwork and you have you base yourself properly, then when you're out of form, you can gain back your form.
Yeah.
It's like, without footwork, you hitting sixes while you're in form. That's what I'm doing now. When the form is out, then you're gone. You can't gain back.
Well, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So that's what. So I'm like quite opposite of Vetri sir, but
Right.
I know.
So you didn't have the script clearly enough to make it.
Yeah, to where the story is taking. I mean,
Yeah.
so then I left it at that point in 2015, and I didn't think of doing it also. And I think now after like 8, 9 years, again later, again the same like, Lawrence sir again asked like, did you even think of that script again? Do you have that idea now? So then that time I was after I finished Mahan and I was free for some. Then I again thought about the script, and that time actually it is what Nelson said. No, it is actually the universe which came in because the elephant factor and the forest factor came into my mind, and that's when I actually felt this is going to be the script. And then I started writing, and when I felt confident about the script, I said okay, and then the film started. So I had doubt 8 years back, and that doubt actually pushed this film for more than 8 years. And then I started it. But I feel it's good because if I had made that film that time, definitely I would have screwed up big time in the film. That's what I think that the thought process took its time so many years to come into my mind, and then into the script, and then now the film is there. That's what I believe.
Yeah, yeah. Which is what you said,
Yeah.
Hemant, about Saptasagas.
Yeah.
If you'd made it then, it would have been
No, because I
something
think
else.
some stories demand a certain evolution of you as a creator as well, as a writer as well. And I think only when you experience certain emotions yourself and change your worldview can you write it effectively. Otherwise, it will feel very filmy. Like it won't feel like it is coming from the
Authentic.
right place.
Yeah.
You know, it might work, it might not work. That is secondary. But the process of creation should feel like, it is coming from a place where you're not writing it because the industry demands the scene or this audience demands the scene.
It's flowing.
It has to flow.
Yeah.
So I think for me, whatever I wrote 13 years back, 12 years back, would be very amateurish in compared to what it is now. It's more well thought out and more experienced.
As directors, all of you are making hundreds of decisions all day long, right? The doubt is there, anxiety is there, but finally people are coming to you for answers and you have to give them the answers. I want to talk a little bit about how you arrive at these decisions. How do you decide when to move a camera? How do you decide what lens to use? How do you decide to go wide, close? Like, Karan, you did this sequence in Rocky or Rani where they're both walking. It's a pivotal scene which leads up to the scene where they decide they're going to swap, right? You do this as a single continuous shot, which ends with my favorite dialogue of the year, handle with care, I'm a fragile. Which I made on a t-shirt. But why do that as a single continuous shot?
I think most filmmakers will tell you that there's no way. I would be very perplexed to know if that everybody knew that, oh, this particular scene can be shot in this particular way when you reach that location, even though you've recceed that location. You've seen it 100 times. In fact, me and Manush, who was the DOP, we discussed that we kept that scene for pretty much most of the day because it was actually the point it starts at in the film is actually 1/4 into the scene. We've already shot in one shot lot before, which got cut in the edit. It starts abruptly a little bit because of whatever reason. And somehow, when I reached the location, I felt with it, Ranveer and Alia have such terrific conversational chemistry. It's like they allow each other that gap when required. They speak over each other when needed. Two actors who are in sync with each other, that happens only when that happens, I've last seen it with Shah Rukh and Kajol, when I worked with them in 1998 and then 2001. And I feel with the both of them, we tried this as it just happened there organically. I took the call. I said, let's try doing it in one and then see if we need the coverage. But it just went so smoothly, that one shot just went so smoothly that we were done by 1 p.m. And then we were like, we have no other shoot to do because nothing else was planned. And I'm also the producer of the film. And I feel like if I call pack up right now, I've lost a day and I'm staring at my EP. And then I'm thinking, should I for just cheat's sake do such work, to just pretend that I made use of the day. So then I came up with this big idea, let's do it from back also. So we started and I was like, who am I fooling really? I am the producer. I should take this call and I'm exhausted. It's been 30 days in the heat. So I was like, back up, and then I got a frantic call from Apurva. I was the CEO of my company, and he was like, you didn't shoot the whole day. I said, I didn't need to. What could I do?
We were
I didn't
done.
have another location.
Yeah.
And that's the upside. And it's happened to me actually with Shah Rukh and Kajol way back in 98, where there's a pivotal moment where they meet each other after 8 years. And I just said, I explained the scene to them and they said, oh, awkwardness and whatever. And I played a song for atmosphere. And the two of them came into the frame. They performed. It's something before the rehearsal began. I told the DOP, Santosh Tundial, I said, just roll the camera. Those days, people weren't aware of camera rolling or anything. We rolled the camera and they came and they shot that whole moment, which I really believe is one of the I can't say it myself, I don't know why but like it's what I've been told is like a special part of the film.
Yeah.
And after we set cut, I was like, we're done. He said, what do you mean? Shah Rukh said, now we'll take, right? I said, no, we're done. I rolled. We have it in the can. And he was like, no. And we didn't have a monitor on our set. So I went purely on, because that was the time when monitors were just coming in, we like
Acha.
we've all
Oh,
worked
okay.
like
Okay.
on a steady can, on a Steenbeck, and then
Yeah, yeah.
made that transition. So I was like, we've got it. And again, we had nothing to do. Again, after that. And then I looked at my father. But you see, my father, because he was my father, he was like, तू बेटा तू घर जा तू सो जा ठीक है हो गया ना काम और कुछ करने don't worry about it.
You worked hard enough.
Yeah, you worked. Anyway, he thought I was the most gorgeous person on planet Earth. I was the best director. I used to get scared going anywhere with him because he was such showing off about me. And I used to cry because he met Mani sir at the same location of Kuch Kuch Hota. And Mani sir was making Dil Se and shooting the Chhaiya Chhaiya song, which to me, I was wanting to go as a student to watch. And he kept gushing about me to Mani. And I'm trying to pinch him to say, please, I beg you, I want to dig a hole and jump into it. Because Mani sir was God to all of us, and continues to be. And I went home and I said, Papa, you can't. My film hasn't released. He says, Nahin, if it's your trumpet, if you don't blow it, who else will?
I love it.
Okay. So to go back to your question, it really just happens on set, right? I don't know, I plan. I know that short divisions are made and we do we break it down with
Like it or not, I mean, I know there are a lot of polarized opinion about Karan Johar, but when he talks films, I really like listening. Like here, he's obviously talking from a director standpoint, but there are so many interviews where he's talking from like a producer standpoint, like giving you numbers and stuff like that, and really getting into the business side of the films. Those interviews are also so fascinating to watch. So when he talks films, I really like you might love his film, you might hate his film, but he knows his stuff. He knows his craft.
and then sometimes there's a process that goes on, but many a time I've noticed that you've broken all of that. Happened specifically to me in Rocky Running, not once but 4 times, where I've done one long shot, where I've just felt the need to just keep the camera going and worked it out because I felt all great actors. Why do I need so much coverage?
Yeah.
But I think it comes from the moment you're
You're
rehearsing.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you'll all agree with me that the mother of all long shots is what Vetri has
Yes,
accomplished
the
in
train.
July Part 1. I mean, I was watching that in the theatre, Vetri, and it's horrifying. It's so immersive, and what's
Yeah.
happening is just so awful. But one part of me was thinking, like, how is he doing this? How is this possible? How has he not cut for now 8, 9, 10 minutes?
Right.
And that shot, at least according to media reports, cost something like 8 to 10 crore and took 3 months to stage.
Wow.
I'm not reading this. I'm getting stuck.
I'm getting
Karan as a producer is like getting petrified.
Actually, what happened was that was not in the plan to have that sequence. I had already told my producer about this train crash that was supposed to be my first shot. But then as the budget was going higher, I said, sir, we don't need to do it. In the titles, we'll use all the sounds and all of that. And then we'll show news clippings. Like, newspaper cuttings we can show. And he was okay with it. Like after 3 months, he called me and told, sir, we've already still. Why hold that back? You can't shoot this in any other film.
He's a priest.
Yeah. So, let's do it.
For all you know, after this, Karan probably, after the shooting of this, Karan probably called him up and he's like, I want to, I want to pitch an idea. Probably he'll produce Takht. You never know. He's probably Dharma Production and this guy, they will co-produce Takht because Takht is supposed to be a very high budget film.
He said. Then we had to, my art director is someone who will do it very real. So he built that bridge with engineers
My
to
God.
hold the weight of actual railway compartments. Like
My
we put two
God.
compartments, actual compartments there, and then the one that falls down was made, and that itself was, I think, 4 tons or 1.5 tons. I'm not sure. So they were like massive structure. The actual structure was built. It took 3 months. The construction took 3 months. To assemble all the parts and all took some time, and it took me really a long time to shoot. And going to the spot, I realized that this is too big. I didn't know what to do with that kind of a set. And for me personally, when I choose to do a long take is when I don't know where to cut the shot. So I say, okay, let's try this. So I go to the spot. First day I go to the set and then say, okay, let's do this part from here. You show the siren of the vehicle first. It was originally supposed to be an ambulance. So the ambulance siren, and then the camera comes on, goes to this point. Then we cut and show the details of the family crying. And then while I was saying that, when you cut, you're going to emphasize more on that like particular detail. And then each and every detail, when you show it, when you are specifying something, the whole, instead of underlining the whole the gravity of the situation, like when highlighting each and every detail of or the plight of each and every individual passenger, I thought I will give a overall view and leave most of it to the audience's imagination instead of staying there. There are some references, certain lines like, a newly married couple is there, like someone who wanted to go on a pilgrimage is there, and then a child is there looking for the mother. All of that is just you just pass through it, but then it stays in your mind. And then we started rehearsing. I asked all my boys to come back, who have already made films also. All of them came, and there were around 40-45 assistant directors working there.
Wow.
We rehearsed for 13 days, and because of one wrong, during the day's rehearsals, on a break or during the break, lunch break, one of the fighters tried to do a rehearsal without the whole team and crew. He died. Yeah, it was an accident that could have been avoided. But
Was that mentioned? Had somebody commented that somewhere? I'm not able to recall it, but I think for me this is new information because I'm just trying to remember if I knew about it or not. It has completely left my memory. But I think I did not know about it. Oh, okay.
then we stopped the shoot after that. And then, so before that, we got 2 takes. So we rehearsed for 13 days, we shot for 2 days. And then we got that shot. But that was not the final shot that we see in the film. So I used 4 gimbal and 4 operator who will carry it. And then the final one, the last guy was on a crane with a harness on him. So he picked up the camera sitting on the crane and he was moved. And then when he reaches a certain point, the harness, they put loops onto his body. And then he was picked up 120 feet on a crane. And then on the rope, he was moved from this corner of the bridge to the other corner. So
My God,
incredible.
wow.
it took a lot of,
Fascinating. My
The
God.
class is happening.
Yeah.
Nelson, you
wow.
were talking about how you struggled with trying to figure out what Rajni sir can do and can't, right? I think, Gio, you went even a step further because in your film, you've cast one of the iconic actors of this country and he's playing a gay man. It's a remarkable film. It's a
It
story
is.
told with
It
such
really is.
compassion,
It
such
really is.
tenderness. But I want to ask about that conversation for you, right? Of course, Mammootty sir is the producer. So he's signed up for it. He's going into it all eyes open. But when you're actually constructing this, did you think of how much can I do? And is that one of the reasons why his character and his partner are just looking at each other from far? We don't even see them ever touch each other, right? Are those things you thought about?
Actually, the screenplay was exactly like this.
Okay.
They meet. There is no meeting for each down, and they are watching. They are at distance. And when this is a story of two other my friends, two writers, Adarsh and Paulson. And firstly, Mammootty sir come into my mind. So I need an actor like Mammootty, and I need a human being like Mammootty. So I choose
Wow.
Mammootty, and
That's a huge statement he made. I need an actor like Mammootty, and I didn't need a human being like Mammootty. That statement just says so much. If you know what I mean, guys.
talk to our story to him, and he give a little bit suggestions for the entire screenplay.
Okay.
He's also entered in every screenplay discussion. Not every, in between, he also involved with us. Sometimes he send WhatsApp messages for, can we change like this? Can we add like this? So his support was too great. I have two writers and Mammootty sir, and including me. We both are involved in the screenplay. Every time we change all areas. For example, that interval portion. So Mammootty sir says that I need an eye contact with him. So there is another version is already be written in the screenplay. So we changed that. That is worked well. All are saying that the interval portion.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is his suggestions. It's worked well.
And it really worked, because if that suggestion came from Mamuka, that, oh, I need an eye contact with him, and but just that eye contact makes so much of a difference in that scene. Amazing. That's the experience talking, guys.
And we others and person work a lot that we both create all these little things. Others add one thing and Paulson will add something more, and I will give a suggestion. That's why we created it. And I also discussed with my editor, my co-director. So I already told that when I'm stuck in doubts, I will discuss with these guys only. So I will get an answer, and we made a interval block like this. Mammootty like that. So that's the way.
Speaking of interval blocks,
Yeah.
the other amazing interval block is
Karthik's.
is of course Karthik's, but also
Oh no, I'm gonna get a spoiler now. Oh shit. Okay, fine, no problem. I am recording this today. Today is the 13th, and I'm gonna watch the film tomorrow. So, okay, I'm gonna wait for that interval block.
Karthik's and Nelson. The
Nelson's
what you
also.
did in that so in the pre-interval sequence of Jailer is when you've got Rajni sir sitting on this dining table, and it just kills me every time I think about it that he's organized this entire massacre without lifting a
Without doing
finger.
anything.
The killer's coming to get him. His wife and his daughter-in-law sitting opposite, and at one point, this is nuts, okay? A dead body falls on their
That's why I said that it had the quirkiness of Nelson. Like that this is what I wanted in that film, which I got.
laps. And Rajni sir just looks very cool and says, just push it. I just died when that happened. I was like, oh my God. How in the world do you think of that? How?
Actually, interval block alone, I was thinking that alone for a month.
For a month.
How to stage that scene, because I wanted him to be too cool in that scene, the
Yeah.
whole film. Because rather than him fighting, what happens around him should be like more interesting and never seen before in his films.
Yeah.
So the thought process in that scene is like going on and on and on. with the fight master, he used to come every day, and he used to show me few stagings we can do like that. Then finally, what happened? I myself wrote the whole stunt like this, because he will have only some 6-7 dialogues. What happens before the dialogue and after the dialogue? How the body falls, how it's falling in the ground.
So you scripted it out.
Yeah, it's totally scripted. So, and on the shooting day, even the fight choreographer, he used to ask me, sir, is Rajini sir is not doing anything. Is it okay? Is it okay? So like this, too many people are asking, sir, he's not. At least in the end, we'll have something. No, I told him, yeah, and he's doing something like this. So see, this is not enough for him. He's a big hero. So these decisions were little difficult for me, whether it is right or wrong. But till that fight is over, that confusion was there. Till the release, as I said, this confusion was there throughout. But somewhere I liked that whole staging and the sequence, and I wanted him to be. Normally, for me, I like Rajini sir when he's talking, when he's doing that mass dialogues or delivering the dialogues, his style and the way he speaks, that one more than his fight.
Yeah.
So I consciously avoided his fightings, and I made it like that. And finally it worked, so it's okay. If it's not worked, then I'm done.
The dialogue.
So he has to do something in the scene, right?
That's right. They got a dead body on their laps.
Yeah.
And blood on their face.
Tells, no, just push it.
Just push it, exactly. It was just fantastic. Karthik, tell me about your film. You know, this meta, sprawling, spiritual sequel. And again, we're back with a gangster. We're back with a filmmaker in that same territory. But this time, like you said, you put in the messaging, right? About the environment, about the
Oh,
elements.
okay. There's a
Did
message
you
about the
at
environment.
any point have to struggle? Because
So
this is something
Jigardanda Double X is as having a social message. So that much spoiler to I got.
that happens a lot in the movies where the messaging overpowers the storytelling. You know, you're so busy trying to give a message that somewhere the actual narrative starts to wobble. How did you find that path? And this is a movie in which there's also Clint Eastwood, and there's just so much happening. How did you find that exact way to kind of make it entertaining and deliver that message?
Yeah. So basically, as I said before, this messaging part was not my priority initially, because my main motive with this film is to show what cinema can do as a
Yeah, it's the
As
power
a
of
medium.
cinema.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I'm showing something like this is what a cinema can do. I mean, it can bring a bigger change, or can create a bigger revolution sort of a thing, or a bigger political change, or it can bring down the overall the system which is trying to people at all. So I wanted to show something which is that can connect with us, and also that is very strong. So that's when I said, like, initially the one which I had, I was not at all convinced, because this is not enough to show what the cinema can do. I mean,
Okay.
at the end, what I'm showing is actually the camera which the Reda's character is holding, the cinema they are making is the hero of the film, not the Caesar character or the moon. So that should be worth it, because the story, what they are capturing in the cinema, and
excited
then
to watch
what
this film
is being
tomorrow.
shown in the audience in the film, and what the ripple effect that's creating should be bigger. So that's when when I got to know, I mean, the story of a tribe that's being a story of a genocide that's happening, and that has been I mean, because when I got into that research, I found out that this is not a fictional story. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, throughout the world, if you take a forest, if you take tribes, there has been incidents like this where, I mean, for that pure that wealth,
Yeah.
the forest, I mean, a lot of tribes have been displaced, a lot of tribes have been killed and everything. And what if there was a camera there shooting everything, and then we could see that, means what kind of effect it would create. So that's when this messaging part came. So
Interesting.
the main motive was not to
Interesting.
tell this message, but to show that, okay, if cinema could have been used in a better way in these situations, or when a genocide is happening, it's a best case scenario which I thought. Like,
Right.
what if cinema could have been in that way?
Right, right. I also want to talk a little bit about casting. Konkana, like you cast Tilotama, who is one of our finest actors. And is always sort of, straight jacketed in some sort of a certain class of people, or the house help, and you totally turn that around. You cast her as the affluent upper class woman who comes home.
But
And
the snippet where Tilottama is the first one, it's from Sir, right? Yeah, it's. But I think she was fabulous in that film. She was like nothing to take away from her performance. I understand what Anupama is trying to say, that okay, because you kind of like directors probably or filmmakers kind of stereotype the actors or the actresses looking at their face, and but she sort of flipped it, Konkona. That's where she's coming from, but nonetheless, her performance in that film was phenomenal.
finds her domestic help having sex on her bed. What is the magic of that? What is the excitement of that? That what you did, Vetri. You see Suri and we think, okay, comic actor, or you, Karthik, we see Raghava Lawrence, we see horror comedies, but you cast him completely differently. When you see an actor and you say, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to just switch this around completely. Tell me about that.
I think it's exciting to see people how you've not seen them before.
Yeah.
So it was, for me, it was exciting for her not to be the domestic worker. Because whether you're a domestic worker or whether you're the employer or a CEO of a company, it is not based on your looks, actually. We do that in films sometimes, but in reality, it's anyway not like that. So there's no reason to adhere to what we've been doing kind of falsely in films anyway. We can just look at real life only. So that for me, I enjoyed that very much. I liked the idea of, changing that particular casting around. That gave me a certain excitement. And I wish that people would cast more imaginatively. I think I've also suffered from that in a sense because, one has not, like I've, for example, not done too many grey roles, things like that. So it's nice to see people how you've not imagined them.
Yeah, yeah. And is that also coming in a sense from your career as an actor?
Maybe subliminally, but that I've not really thought of. I mean, in this particular case, it's because I myself was tired of seeing Tilottama regularly cast as a domestic worker, even though she's done a wonderful job.
Absolutely,
And,
she's amazing.
Some of these roles have been really well fleshed out as well. So it's not that. It's just that, I think she's a wonderful actress. And actually, honestly, other than this, I find her very modern in her sensibility and in her reactions and her the way she expresses. It's not something that you've seen before.
Yeah.
So that I wanted that, and I wanted a slightly not necessarily very relatable. I wanted somebody who's a little quirky, who's a little bit of an oddball, maybe, all those little elements which are already there in Tilottama in any case.
Yeah, yeah. Avinash, I think of you as the master of stillness. There's such a quietude in your cinema. And you said somewhere that I want to observe my protagonist. I don't want to intrude upon. Can you talk
Interesting.
about that a little more?
Especially with this film, I guess after Patal Lok, because it was extremely dramatic, and then when you're shooting 5-6 pages a day, continuously with that kind of an intensity, I wanted to come back to this kind of a space. Like, I'm a big fan of Rishikesh Mukherjee, Sai Paranjpe, and their cinema, Gulzar Saab. I really had not planned like it will be this observant kind of a film. Like
Okay.
it's a very
I
talky
need to
sort
watch
of a
this.
film. Like
Let's
a
see
like
when it
Killa
has
was not like
an
this,
OTT release.
But it evolved like while shooting. Like I observed and actors were doing their things and obviously because Jaideep Alawat, I didn't think of him. He was not my earlier choice.
Acha.
Like all the
But he's
casting
such a
it fell
fabulous
through.
actor.
Like this film I think it came to me. It like I didn't make it. So it was very instinctive sort of a choice. I just didn't feel like cutting. I just felt like observing and and every day by 2 o'clock we used to wrap. That's like just a page and a two and that's it. Like I don't light at all because I shoot mostly available lights and
Okay.
because series is a very anxiety driven form. Something has to happen after like it structure wise it's very different and every episode has to have that hook and this and that, and that's why feature films catharsis is very different than the series. Like if someone asks me like, okay, name a show which has changed your life, I don't know, maybe a show or a two. But with feature films, if someone asks me like, okay, just tell me like which is the film which has changed your life, there's so many, because catharsis is completely different. So I just wanted to come back to this sort of a space where no drama is happening, nothing is happening, and just observe and feel and see what kind of a catharsis it would happen. Because pandemic, that time was like,
Yeah,
I
everything
went
like
through a
sort of
lot of like
halted.
emotional personal turmoil,
Hmm.
and I had to sort of like rest my case and come back to this, and I'm glad that it happened.
Okay, guys, so that was part one. I think the video that I shot is probably over an hour because I've also paused and shared my thoughts. So I thought better that I divide this video in part one and part two. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching part one. I will share my reaction on the remaining part of the video in part two very, very soon. So yeah, please share your thoughts so far on what the directors talked about. Share your opinions in the comments below, and I will see you soon in part two on my next video. Bye.